Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of After 30 with Cara Eriguel. I hope you're safe and well, and I'm so happy to be back right here with everyone once again. We have another exciting guest for this episode. Actually, I've been wanting to have this conversation with someone and finally found the perfect person to talk to about this because, wow, surprisingly, a lot of people have been experiencing this, I guess, and it's been sprinkled all over social media. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks, a lot of Instagram reels, a lot of posts about this. I don't know if I've just been manifesting it or I've been actively looking for it or it's just been showing up or marami lang talaga. More and more people are being aware of this. So every single thing we do, okay, let me start by saying this. Every single thing we do or do not do as humans affect other humans, of course, other creatures and beings around us. This has been more and more apparent in adulthood as we consciously make the effort to better ourselves. If you've been through some sort of therapy or you've started your journey through self awareness and self mastery, then you've likely encountered the word narcissist. It's important to note, though, that narcissism is a spectrum disorder. There's a certain amount or kind of narcissism that is good and even beneficial to a child's growth and sense of self. It becomes abusive, though, when manipulation, gaslighting, and controlling tendencies, both conscious and unconscious, are involved. I've been in a relationship with a narcissist myself and have suffered the abuse that came with it. Now, I've gone through and still am going through the process of healing. And as I get older and more aware, more and more questions and fears start to consume me. What if I'm a narcissist? What if my experiences throughout childhood turned me into one and I'm not aware? What if I've suffered intergenerational trauma? And goodness, what if I pass it on to my future children? What are the effects of narcissistic parenting on children? What is trauma and its relation to narcissistic parenting? What is conscious parenting? And why is the awareness and study of it so detrimental to the mental, no, so important rather, to the mental, emotional, psychological, and even physical well being of a child? On today's episode, we're talking to the first Filipino conscious parenting coach certified by Dr. Shefali Tsabary, founder and CEO of Camp Explore, the beautiful Kit Malvar Llamas. Hi, Kit.
Hello, Cara. Thank you. I'm excited to be with you again.
I
Thank
know,
you.
me too. Thank you
Exciting our
so
topic
much.
for today.
I know. Grabe. Kinakabahan ako. I don't know why. But I'm so excited to ask you these questions. My goodness. But first, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for making space and time for the episode. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. I said off the air, you're looking so happy and glowing. Anong sikreto?
Happy life makes happy life.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
just a
okay.
lot of connection with myself also. Doing a lot of lately also connection to my body. Which is
Nax.
as you get older kasi you need the more tender loving care with the physical body. Yeah.
I agree. I completely agree. Mamaya hingi ako ng mga tips sa'yo off the air. But
Okay.
okay, I'm gonna go straight into it.
Let's do it. Let's do this.
So it's also important to say this first, no? Just putting it out there. We're not here to play the blame game, right? We're not. As I
Nope.
mentioned, this disorder is something that is most likely passed down through generations. And if not addressed and healed consciously, diba, that's when it's passed down. Let's get to the root of it. What do you think contributes to the narcissistic personality in children? What kind of environment or upbringing could have contributed to the development of the narcissistic personality disorder?
Okay, so narcissism, as we know, I told you, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, but with narcissism, it's I see so much relationship to trauma. Okay, so what is trauma? All of us, no matter what our definition of happy childhood is, we all experience trauma. Let's just say it, because what is narcissism? There are different levels, right? There are different
Mhm.
definitions. There are the grandiose narcissist, yung obvious na kita-kita mo, they really are so concerned about what other people will
About
say
them.
about
Ah.
our appearance. So if you grew up
Yeah.
with a parent who is a grandiose narcissist, yung how you look has to be perfect. Diba? My amigas will see you, the church
Oh,
people will see you, the community will see you. You have to be, so there's so much stress on how we look and how people will perceive us. So that's the kind of grandiose narcissism. There's also narcissism that's very how do you call this, covert, yung very strict.
dismissive.
Yes, dismissive. Walang feeling, stone cold.
Mm-mm.
There's no
Mm-mm.
emotional connection. So if you grew up with parents who are like that, they're probably, very disconnected. Um, they don't like the parenting part, but it's just that this is what should happen and this is what you should do. So there's no emotion, there's no sense of connection emotionally, but just the functions of, sometimes nga, they just give you the financial support. That's it. Basta pinalaki kita na, this is, you're gonna, are you
Bare
deserve?
minimum of being a parent, ganun.
It's like there's no emotional attachment with the parent also. And then you also have that's malignant. I think that's a malignant parent. Sorry, the cold, and they lie also. There's so much lies that goes on. That's the truth is always changing depending on the situation. And then you also have, you have the communal narcissist. They look so good publicly. They help other people, communities. They serve they have a lot of other people perceive them. And sometimes you even hear, you're so lucky, they're your parents. They're doing so much to help the world,
So
But
politicians, sharing.
there's a lot what's happening inside the house. So if you grew up with this, parang there's multiverse type of truth also. How come that's not really what's happening inside the house, but you have to have that PR type of
Personality outside.
personality? Yeah. So imagine if you grew up in this kind of environment also. Sarah, it's very confusing for the child also. Very how come you also perceive they have more time for others. I'm not good enough, I'm not they're at home, you feel neglected also. So there's no, but you see them in public, they are praised for what they're doing. So
Ooh,
you
yeah.
also have to make sure that you are aligned to that personality, to that identity type of thing also. And then there's also self-righteous narcissists. Their morality is good, right? Good versus right. Instead of looking at the behavior more than you forget the child. So
Black
um,
and white,
yeah,
ganon.
right. So you forget about the love. You're coming out of fear, not out of love. There's so many conditions also for you to be able to accept the love. You have to do this before you can receive love. There's so many conditions that you have to fulfill. So it's very conditional. So there's a lot, but
Mhm.
you don't want to be trapped in labels, right? So because when you are really trying to understand what is happening to me, and I see this with my patient, with my coaches, and with the people I work with and talk to, and with our during our workshops also, whether
Mhm.
whether they're business leaders, because we do workshops for corporate, we also do for families, we also do for the youth. You will see patterns, and there's overwhelming, as you said. The root cause, when we also want to understand what is happening to us, and then we become conscious, then we start to question, and that's the start of your awakening period, diba? That parang I feel um this, I don't deserve to be treated this way. Okay, and there's so much, that's not the intention that I want, because you're also torn. You want to be able to form relationships with other people, especially with family, right? So it's very painful now when you feel like your boundaries are being crossed, or you're being questioned for something that you feel like, that's that's no, 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 no. So you feel like you
Yeah.
want to protect yourself, you don't feel safe anymore. So when you
Yeah. Yeah.
start doing that, and you learn about all these types of narcissism, you don't have to be caught with the definitions, because you're gonna start now saying, yeah, you know what? She's like that. She's that kind of narcissist. It helps
You're gonna
you.
start making lists. Eto yung
Yes,
ginawa niya, so etong category siya 'no, ito yung
yes.
ginawa
Itong
niya sa'kin.
category. Sabi ko na nga, siya yung narcissist. And then we start looking outside, di ba?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We start
Blaming.
blaming, because blame is just your coping mechanism. It's an
Mhm.
ego response because it's painful, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when we are maturing after 30, when we are adulting already, right, we need
Yes.
now to start proactive accountability. How did I
Mm.
co-create the situation? And then
Right.
now, like your question, what can I do now so I don't have to pass it on to the next generation? Especially
Mhm.
if if you want to be a parent one day, or if you have your own children one day, you're now going to look inwards, because there's no point anymore in going back to the past, or educating them, or your parents
Mm.
of the older generation, because it's impossible to be able to educate. It's so deep seated also, that the point, especially dealing with narcissists, is not to engage. Because as soon as you
Oh.
engage, then you're hooked. Then you're adding fuel to the fire.
Oh
So
my.
how can you now keep witness to what's happening to you? Okay. Understand that, at least at the concept level, with compassion, that they also are probably like that because also of their own
Traumas.
upbringing,
Uh-huh.
traumas in their life. So, what is trauma? It's not really what happened to us, but what happened inside us when because of what happened to us. So, all of us have certain level of trauma. So, if you grew up, and all of us grew up in a certain form of trauma, certain form of narcissism in our lives, when we were not seen, we were not heard, we didn't have emotional connection with our parents because they're probably
Mhm.
also going through their own thing. When appearance was always I was
More
always
important than feelings.
important than feelings. Um, what other people would say, and sasabihin ng mga ibang tao, that's embarrassing for for us. Uh,
Mm.
the sense of righteousness, of being morally right and wrong, good or bad, diba? With their labels, like in parenting, diba? Ito yung golden child ko, ito yung black.
Hmm.
Yan. So we have, tatanungin pa siya sa sino dyan yung anak mo sutil? Sino dyan yung mabait? Sino dyan yung, we have different labels already. Unconsciously, those things have an impact also of how we see ourselves. So
Mhm.
and how we will now behave. So we will now create our ego at the so zero to our experiences from 0 to 7 years old. Those are our
Mm.
foundational experiences because um, they go to our subconscious. So 90% of the time, we act from our subconscious, unconsciously. And then there are a lot of events in our lives that if we don't stop to question, then we will really make decisions with patterns, the patterns
Oo.
of consciousness. So when you start asking questions, because now you're going through some pain, then actually it's the start of the awakening process. Then you'll start looking inwards. So this is what happened to me. Okay, so what can I do now? If you really
Mhm.
want, first assess, how much do you need or that relationship in your life? Because if it's toxic, diba, there are relationships that you can choose to let go
Mm-mm.
or choose to, you know, out talaga. You can choose that. You can always choose to accept the situation, change the situation, or leave, diba? So what is your what is your choice right here, right now? So assess the situation. Who is this person? How important is this person to you? For example, we grew up with family members who are, who are behaving, who are, showing that they have narcissist tendencies, okay, narcissistic tendencies, but especially if it's parents, diba? We still want to, because we're
Keep a
always
relationship with
like
them.
a relationship with them. So now you can do that. That's what's okay. And but this time with conscious awareness and proactive, you know, muscles
Mm-mm.
also. Number one, you need to lower your expectations. Na very realistic expectations. That if you do this for them, let's just say you do something for them, because sometimes when we grew up with narcissistic parents, there's so much guilt also
Mm-hmm.
in doing us that we have to over explain ourselves. We always have to please. We always have to make sure that,
Walk on eggshells. Oh,
yeah, you're always making sure that you're making the right decisions.
yes.
Gonna hurt them. So if your mom is happy, happy ka rin. I made my mom
Mm-mm.
happy. But if your mom is problematic, what did they do? It's always,
Mm-mm.
what did they do
How
and
can I
what
fix
can I,
this? Okay.
how can I fix this? So you get so in that frenzied kind of energy. So
Mm-mm.
it's your nervous system is now wired to fix, either to fix, to fight, to fawn, to please, right? Or to freeze. So you have to be able to understand first your own pattern and the pattern that this dynamic of relationship is bringing to you. How are you responding to that? So if you
Mm-mm.
already know, because you just witnessed, you're just now that, okay, they have certain narcissistic tendencies nga. Okay, then what can I do to, if I still want to continue with the relationship, these
What
are
are my
my
boundaries?
what are my boundaries? Is are my realistic expectations? So if I can plan, let's just say Mother's Day just ended, right? You plan something, because they'll always say something that it's never good enough. Whatever you plan, they will always say something. Oh, the comments that they will give na parang, really sa dami ng ginawa natin.
Uh,
You
Meron
notice that.
hanapan mo pa ng mali.
Yung gano'n, yung parang they're really good at it, eh.
Yeah.
They know how to,
Nitpick.
press your buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Which buttons to press, and and then for that, yes. Yeah, it's
Really? And
all
it's
about
feeding
them.
them pa. It's feeding
Yes.
them pa if you wala.
Exactly.
Speaking of feeding, no, and you touched on, my gosh, that's just the first question. You already essentially like answered everything. No, but you touched on a lot of really a lot of important points, because you mentioned trauma. And I asked the first question to kind of like ano ba, humanize, 'di ba? Yung kasi it's so on the other end of the spectrum, diba, baka demonized na nung when you hear narcissism and a
Yeah.
narcissistic person. They're evil. They feed off of your energy and they manipulate you. They gaslight you. That's everything you see on the internet, and that's
Yeah.
essentially also the definition of it, diba? When you look it up, that's the first thing you see. But I love how you related it to trauma, because that's why my first question was, ano ba ang nagko-contribute sa isang taong naging narcissist, eh, 'di ba? Kasi hindi naman sila
Yes.
pinanganak lang ng evil. Something also
No.
happened to them.
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's also trauma that led to them being the way that they are. But so I move on to my next question, which is, how do you define ba narcissistic parent abuse, and what is trauma, and how is it related to growing up with a narcissistic parent?
Okay, so when you have trauma or what are childhood traumas? What I mentioned a while ago. Different definitions of childhood trauma: not being seen or heard, neglected,
Being
um,
abandoned.
being abandoned, diba? Denying your reality. For example, I think parang parang dad is not coming home or too much, or is he always um drinking, no, they're just
Mm.
tired. So denying reality, like little things, also denying your emotions also when you feel scared sometimes, ano ba, parang ang layo-layo niyan sa bituka mo, parang you
Mm.
make a big thing out of it, that's nothing, when your emotions are also invalidated, little things like that, even positive things that you're really scared about, let's say your big test in school, and then you were always told, no, it's okay, you're smart, you studied the money. So
Mm.
we don't get validation both for positive and also for that's a big emotion. There's always people are trying to fix it or deny it for you. Those have tendencies also on how you're going to show up with your other friends, with in school, and with your other relationships, even in choosing partners for us. Parang if
Mhm.
we are so used to a very, how do you call this, dramatic life, we want also drama in our relationships, diba? Kasi parang
Yep.
there's something wrong if it's just calm, diba? That's why
Yeah,
that's
because
the
we're
bad
so
boy.
wired
Yeah,
in a ano ba, in a what's the word? In an I can't find the perfect word for
yes,
it, but a childhood that's based on ganon ganon,
yeah,
turbulent.
so turbulent, yes. So you're also going to look for, that's your comfort zone. That's what's normal for you. That's your
Hmm.
pattern. So when you are with someone who's calm, cool, collected, everything is,
Boring.
boring. Diba? Parang boring. At
Oo.
saka parang there's something missing.
Oo.
So you're now going to create a drama because that's
Hmm.
your comfort zone. So it's just an awareness.
Tamang-tama naman ako dun.
So you're going to be the one to uh parang create the situation now because that's your pattern. That's what's
Mm.
so if you have grew up in that traumatic, those childhood traumas I just named, those are also narcissistic tendencies. As children, we now build, galing, galing. God designed us so well also. He built us an parang our bouncer to help
Mhm.
us cope. So this is our ego. So our
Mhm.
ego made us, protected us when we were young, so we can survive. So what are the ego phases? About we either go to, I'm gonna be so strong, no one is gonna hurt me. I'm not
Mhm.
going to allow anyone to hurt me. You're going to be so protective,
Mm.
self-protection, self-preservation. Or you can also swing to the other side.
Please everyone. Yeah.
I will please you. I will do everything for you without thinking of yourself because that's how you got validation from your parents. You're such a
Mhm.
good girl, you did that for me. So ikaw naman talagang, how she saw me, she heard me, so I'm just gonna do that. So
Mm.
if we post the achievements of our kids, for example, in school, di ba, we we talk about it with their amiga, so with the titas. So we want
Mm.
wow, she talked about me. So unconsciously, we are now pressuring ourselves also for me to be seen, to be heard, for people not to fight at home. I will be an honor student or I will be an achiever. Okay. Or sometimes the it swings. Now, those are the people who would rebel, diba? Because they
Mm.
want the attention from their parents when because of they're not getting, especially if it's a narcissistic parent, the
Mm.
narcissistic parent will use you as a scapegoat. Diba ba? Let's say you're the blaming, you're not the golden child, but you're the scapegoat. So
Oh
the
my gosh.
narcissistic parent will also use that against you. So they will
Uh,
now, try to control
pit you
you.
against the other
Yeah.
siblings pa.
Now there's gonna be dynamics because you can also have a narcissistic sibling, diba? Because
Mm.
of the modeling also that
Mm.
happens. So you're either going to cope with it, so your ego is going to go big, loud, very empathic, bleeding empath also, or you can also be disconnected with yourself. You're gonna freeze. So you'll start also having different coping mechanisms, and that's where extreme also addictions come in. All of those
Mm-mm.
things, all of those things are just coping mechanism for the pain that we experience. Because at a young age, our brains are also not wired to absorb that. So we have coping mechanisms. So that's how narcissistic tendencies is related to trauma, and that's how you respond. Also, you're going to see that with how you form relationship, with your choices, with your defense mechanism, even the
Yeah.
where you tend to, kasi kunwari, addictions can be addicted to your work.
Mm-hmm.
You now attach your value, your sense of worth to your work, or your sense of worth to your accomplishments or being validated by others. So,
Yeah.
the root of those trauma and narcissism, growing up with narcissistic environment, parents, is not good enough, not good enoughness. So we want to be seen, we want to feel I'm good enough. So we're going to do all these kinds of things externally to fill us up. Now, with narcissism, it's also not good enough. But then they want to make me look like I'm good enough. That's how
Oof.
the narcissists are. They're going to anyone who makes them look like they're not good enough, that's gonna be their victim. So and they're so good at it, eh. Kasi it's a
Manipulative sila eh. Gaslighter sila eh.
yeah, so they know that. It's also a trained conditioned response also because of how and more most of the time if you grew up with narcissistic parents also probably generation na rin, and they also grew up
Mm-mm.
in that kind of environment because that's how
Mm-mm.
parents shape us. That's why it's very important to do the work, to know this, to do conscious parenting while you're not even a parent yet. And
Mhm.
then so you
I-parent
can
yourself muna, 'di ba? Yun yun
exactly.
eh.
That's conscious parenting naman. It's not parenting the child before you, but it's parenting the child within us, each one of us. So to understand that and understand our patterns so we can break what are the healthy patterns that we need to, practice more, and what are the
Mm.
unhealthy patterns that we really need to cut,
Break.
break,
Yeah.
and like disconnect. And how do you do that? Just really connection with yourself, witnessing that with ourselves, So now that we
Okay.
know, then you can now. So what are you gonna do about it, right? So
Now that you've explained that there are obviously a lot of different effects because there's an entire spectrum now of and different kinds of narcissism, 'di ba? And if you were raised by and it can be like two kasi kaya nga hindi mo pwedeng makategorize na eto lang yung this is the kind of narcissist parent I had. It can be like a combination of all of
yeah,
them, two of them, three of them, or you know.
yeah,
So it all depends on how you were treated and how you were raised, and hence how you became as an adult. Like for me, I just freshly came from a a healing session, and it was so mind blowing to me because I didn't even know that it was that. Parang I started
mm,
opening up about something else, but then parang it got deeper and deeper, and it's it's ano pala, like why do I always have to be pushed? Why do I always have to create drama to be
yeah,
pushed to do something? Oh, it's
yes,
because I was always so scared to speak up and say something because I was scared to hurt
mm,
my caregiver's feelings because
yeah,
if I said something wrong, magagalit siya, ma-hurt
yeah,
siya. So hindi 'di ba, hindi niya ako papansinin or wala akong dinner
yeah,
that night. Alam mo 'yon?
yes,
Those
yes,
things. So those
yeah,
little things pala affect you. And even a story that I heard from a TED talk that I watched the other day, parang there's just and it can sometimes it's not even on purpose, but it's unconsciously like a parent who's just really freaking tired.
yeah,
Diba? A father who's so tired has so many things. Oh, but it's his grocery day. Pero wala mag-aalaga sa mga bata, so bitbit niya yung bata. Pero pagod siya, ang dami nasa utak niya. So, syempre, eye level ng bata yung toys, di ba? So as
yeah,
he's going around his grocery list, walking around, the kid goes, "Papa, I want the toy." but he can't afford that toy now. Number one. Number two, he doesn't have it on the list and he doesn't have time to get it. But the child is just, I want that toy. But the father is too in his head, diba? And all he could say at that moment was, you didn't do anything good today. You don't deserve that toy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that can already be, it can be a little thing, diba? Na parang just said out of anger or out of frustration, but something that can be traumatizing to a child and something you bring with you as you grow up.
Yes, yes. So now you're always going, the scripting now in our head is, I'm never good enough. I haven't done anything right. So when we are young, just um, adding to that, parang when we are young, we only want, and this is by Dr. Dan Siegel also, whole brain child. When we are young, we only want two things in our lives also. One is attachment to our caregivers. So whether it's a parent or grandparents or whoever was our primary caregiver. And number two, we want to be true to ourselves. We want to be authentic. If we want, like notice a baby, diba? A baby, if they're hungry, whether it's 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning, I'm hungry, I'm gonna cry. I'm not gonna say, is my mom sleeping? I'm gonna cry only if my mom is sleeping. If my
Uh-huh.
mom's awake. They're very authentic.
Mm-mm.
Toddlers, when they walk
Survival lang.
yeah, they're just gonna, if they want to touch mud or play, that's authentic. They're so true. Walang pretenses. So they want two things. But anything that will threaten the attachment or the attention to the parents, they will give it up. Okay, so even being true to themselves, they will give it up for that. It always trumps attention of our parents, our attachment to our parents. We will give up everything and anything to get that. So
Oh,
authenticity.
kinabahan ako bigla maging parent. Oh my God.
But it's because you know this, then you're more
Yeah.
conscious. What's the
Yeah.
key, diba? Parang you really, as you said in in the TED Talk story, the key is really connection with self first. So before we even connect with our parents, with our children, you need to be so connected with yourself. You can't set
Mm-mm.
boundaries if you're disconnected with yourself because you don't even know what you're actually setting boundaries not for other people to follow it. It's for you so you won't spit out your
Mm.
natural tendencies, also your pain. You know how you can manage it, but
Yeah.
how people will react or respond to the boundaries that you've set, you're also going to be okay with it. You don't set boundaries to expect people to follow it. Di ba? Parang,
Yeah.
you're setting that boundaries because you know your own toxicity, what causes it, where do you
Mm-mm.
get hooked. So you're going to bear witness to that, and then you're going to engage. So if, for example, the other person already is a narcissist, how do you deal with that? Oh, that's interesting. Parang they're going to sweet talk you, so they want to engage you, so they're just going to do something that they know that you like. So but now you know your
Mm-mm.
boundaries, you're gonna just with some sense of humor also, and some already, so you're just gonna smile also. It's actually playing a game. You need to dance also. It's a dance with especially with narcissism. But it can be tiring for some people because they don't want to play the game. So you choose your battles, diba? There are times, there are family occasions, for example, na, nope, I'm not gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bonfire. That's a bonfire. But okay, it's just candlelight dinner. Okay. I'm just candle lang yan. Hindi naman siya bonfire yung
I
with
love that
most.
you mentioned the boundaries though. And yun nga, you're trying to protect in essence parang everybody else around you, 'di ba? That you don't spill over.
Yeah.
Kasi and the thing is, and this was also brought up in my session earlier, kasi some narcissists, because they feed off of that energy from you nga, when they feel that you have set your boundaries,
Yeah.
they will try to break it down.
Yeah.
Diba? All the more they will try to break it down. So you have to be self-aware enough, and comfortable and kind, diba, to yourself
Right.
enough to accept that this is going to happen and you're not always gonna get your way, diba? But as long as you know how to cover your base, kung baga. Tapos okay ka na don. Okay ka na to take whatever is thrown at you because you're self-aware, you're ready,
Yeah.
diba? You're
So you
prepared.
align your expectations also to the boundaries that you set. So it has to be management of expectations, and at the same time, you also rate the people that you encounter, their sense of level of consciousness. You don't
Mhm.
anymore. You don't pick a fight with, okay.
Ah. Okay.
This
Alright.
or all of us also with humility naman, parang we also have low grade narcissism, diba? When we
Mhm.
also self protection and also for us, so you also rate yourself, and so
Mm.
before you even have that encounter, you need to do a lot of pre work, not that will happen, that needs to happen consistently, not in the moment, but before the moment comes. So
Mm.
that's the beauty of having self care routine and practices also, every
Mhm.
day. So when the big moment comes, because sometimes also narcissists are really good game players. They will set,
Mhm.
as they say, a setup is an upset for them. So for you. So
Mm.
they can set that up because they want that
You
kind
need
of
to feed on it.
yes,
Ah.
wala na sila ng ano, 'di ba? Parang parang virus kailangan ng
Para
ano.
silang vampire. Kailangan nila
Exactly.
ng dugo. Okay, okay, okay.
So
Kina-
you need to do the you need to do
Kailangan
your
mong maligo sa garlic. Kumbaga, gano'n.
yeah, whatever garlic is. It can be breath work, garlic breath,
Yeah.
meditation,
Garlic breath.
mindful movement, garlic
Gusto
breath
ko
can
yan. Garlic breath. Gusto ko yung
garlic
metaphor na yan. They're like vampires. So, dapat ready kang may garlic breath ka. Gano'n.
garlic breath ka. So breathe a lot, meditate a lot. Pump up your energy connection also to your body, so you can set your energetic space also before you even go down from the car or enter the room where they're gonna be
Mhm.
there. you know
Mm.
Talk to yourself. I mean, have that conversation with yourself also, that okay, this is my bubble. Okay,
Mhm.
anything that will no, this is my force field. Okay, so you
With
can just
kindness pa rin. Siyempre,
yes,
'di
with
ba? Still with
kindness
kindness and compassion, both for
and
yourself
compassion,
and the other
because you know
person.
what, whatever is bothering them also, it's also within us, right? So
Mm.
the triggers what triggers us is also because it's there's still an issue with us.
Mm.
So we need to, because there's no external triggers naman. That's why
Mhm.
it's it's painful to do the work kasi I have to do the work. It's about me too. Oh,
You mean I have to look inward? I can't just blame the other person. It's
yes, you
easier
can
to
just
blame
blame you.
me.
You're more jerk naman, obvious naman than me.
But that's so true. And narcissists will always find a way to blame everybody else but themselves. Like it's never their fault because it's
They do it,
easier.
yes, and they do it with such art.
Oh,
So
gusto ko yan. They do it with such
galing.
it's well thought of. It's
It's
amazing manipulation.
amazing manipulation. Kasi
Okay.
after a while, you feel like, oh my gosh, it's my fault. And then you're like,
That's so
oh.
true.
Diba?
Oo,
Pero,
parang mapapaupo ka na lang after you've taken everything, all their energy, after they've fed off of you, and you are, ano ba, emptied out of your good energy, and you're just sitting there. You're like, wait a minute. That started with me asking why didn't he put the ano in the dishwasher? Why is it now my fault? Suddenly, it because I didn't do this 2 years ago. What? What the hell? No, it's an art. No, but also it's important to understand that while we're laughing about this about or it seems and sounds like we're blaming them or demonizing them again. It's also like what Kit said earlier, coming from a place of not good enough, coming from a place of fear, I'm sure, diba? That's why they're doing that. It's because they haven't dug inwards, diba? They can't face their own traumas. They can't face themselves. So, ipalabas sila lagi. Kasalanan lahat ng lahat. Hindi, never
Yeah.
ko kasalanan. Because it's harder that way.
Yes. And they'll probably stay that way. There's also something that you'll have to
Oof.
uh, we have to accept that, especially depends on the level also, but um there will be situations that they are wired that way and it's
Mm-hmm.
beyond us. So we just really need to, the art of war also. You are in awareness, but don't engage. Observe a lot,
Mm.
witness it, do the work, and then let it go. You need to learn to let them go too and accept them for who they without blame. It's just, with compassion also for what they went through,
Mm-hmm.
going and how they became like that. So mindful self-compassion, and then loving kindness, compassion also for them. So, and then let it go.
Let
Let
it
it
go. Okay,
go.
because you kind of touched on it already, no. I want to end with like just a couple questions, for the people who are listening to us right now who are probably drawn to this episode, saw the title because they're going through it, or they feel like they might have also been raised by a narcissistic parent. Again, not to blame, guys. Do not use this as a weapon, diba? Don't weaponize this
Yeah.
episode, and what you learned from here and
Nope.
blame your parents. That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is, being aware of it, being aware of your own traumas, working inward and working forward, diba? No, from yourself and then moving forward so that you don't hopefully pass it on to your future children. So, that being said, I understand that it's going to be quite a long healing process and will definitely take a lot of awareness and commitment, diba? In under a minute, Kit Malvar Llamas, what
Shallow.
what important points from conscious parenting can one use and keep in their back pockets to help them become conscious parents, so to speak?
Mm, connection. Connect with
Ooh.
yourself first. How do you do that? You really need to meditate. Have a practice of meditation every day, because it's a body mind connection. We need nervous system calibration right now. So you need to connect to your breath, connect to your body, do mindful movement, whatever that means to you, and intentionally do it. And always ask yourself, how am I co-creating this situation? Because you have to know your part in it so you can be part of the solution. So learn to do that. Connect with yourself first. Even with the people who trigger us, always have that curious mindset. What is this teaching me? Because all
Mm-hmm.
the things that are happening in our lives is just a direction for us to continue to grow. As long as we are alive, we want to be able to grow. So have that pause, and then from there also start with yourself, self compassion, self care, mindfulness also, and learn also as you breathe that in, you also need to breathe out. You also need to learn to
Let go.
accept what you can, what is within your control, and then learn to let go. And that's what faith is all about. We're always, there's for me, I call him my God, other people call him nature, mother nature, or, higher being, whoever your God is. And I think that's what's faith. It carries us through, and, you know, um, it will really help us to see also the God in the other person and the God in us. So that's our oneness connection. And that then you learn how to set your boundaries, because you love yourself so much too.
Mm-hmm.
You will spread that out, diba? To
I love
counter,
that.
yeah.
Thank you. My favorite part out of all the wonderful things that you said, which I will definitely turn into a clip of an audiogram. I love because in essence, yun din eh, that it's very connected to what the last thing that you said, which is, you have to learn what your part in it is, diba?
Yeah.
So that you can be a part or take part in the solution. Because we are, in truth, all connected. And
Mm,
playing the blame game all your life will not serve you in any way.
it's gonna tire.
Kakapagod. So more of like, okay, so this happened to me. These are my traumas. These are my pains. How does it serve me? How did it serve me?
Yeah.
Does it still serve me? Because if it doesn't, easier said than done. But that's the process of it, diba? Let it go if it doesn't serve you
Yeah.
anymore. Kit, thank you so much. My gosh, kulang tayo sa oras with so many things. I still have so many questions, but I have one last for you. Something that I ask every guest on the show. More so now because we are going through this whole thing, and we need to be more connected to the universe, to our God, diba? To whatever it is that you believe in and what you are grateful for, what you're connected to. So I just want to ask you, Kit, what it is that you are grateful for right now in this moment. Shout it out to the universe.
I am grateful for Kara right now for
Aw.
this conversation. Really,
Thank
really blessed. Thank you
you.
so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
I'm so grateful for you. Thank you, Kit.
Thank
Now, I
you.
want more people to be more aware of this and to learn more about conscious parenting as well and what it is that you do because it is now that I'm well into my 30s, I see the huge importance of it. Thankfully, nakita kita at nakilala kita at I'm starting to learn about this before becoming a parent. I'm grateful to have been given that chance, 'di ba? Before becoming a parent.
Yes.
Now, I want more people to know more about this. So how can they get in touch with you? Where can they find out more about you?
Okay, so you can follow me at my Instagram at Kit Malvar Llamas, and our website for all our programs is consciousalchemy.me. So that's our programs for parents or for Conscious Parenting Philippines, our programs for the youth and families, which is Camp Explore, and our programs also for conscious leadership with businesses, that is See Explore. So it's everything is in our website, www.consciousalchemy.me.
Got it. You guys heard that. Write that down and go ahead and check it out. Thank you very much once again. Kit Malvar Llamas, everybody. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Kara. Thank
Have
you,
a great
Kara.
day. Bye,
That was
everybody.
good. Thank you.